Right, I've put the radiator back in without any of the baffles, aluminium fairings and things, because today's job is to get my hoses sorted out top and bottom. So that's got to be kind of S-shaped. This has got to take a sharp turn away from this, and it's still going to be pretty close, I know, and then sort of round to there with a thermostat in there. So I've got these hoses and pipes and things. I know bright red isn't period correct, but I do have the thermostats neatly fitted into them. If you remember from an earlier video, if you put a cable tie jubilee clip above and below, it stops it moving around, the thermostat. So it just sits on here. Anyway, let's see what I can come up with and try not to wreck it. So I've got to order even more hose. This is the most critical part. This is a cut down 45-degree bend. So how much clearance have we got with a fan belt? Don't know if you can see that. It's okay actually. I mean, it would have to really be coming out some to rub it. Now the next problem I have is obviously I've got to make this lower because it's got to come round and join to this. So I need it as low. Ideally I want this to slope uphill, or at least be level. If it slopes downhill, my worry is you could get an air bubble trapped in the top loop here. Not sure if it would kind of find its way out or not, but also, right, so I've pushed it on all the way, there's the top of the casting, so this has to sit on top there, and it's advisable to put a cable tie, a jubilee clip around this tube just above this, so it can't break free and end up floating off, sort of getting stuck somewhere. I can't see that it would actually, it's a pretty tight fit, but what I'll do is I'll put it as high as I can get here, and I'll put the jubilee clip round it. Okay, ignore everything I just said. The thermostat doesn't go in that way up, it goes in that way up. Okay, so when it opens, this sort of copper colour piece moves downwards, so nothing's going to come up and hit the curved part of my hose, so I can have this quite up close to the beginning of the curve. So if you remember, I drilled a tiny little hole there to let sort of air through, because there's this little pop valve thing which I think, you can see that, is meant to do the same job, but there's a chance it could get fouled on the side here, you see. Depending on how that tube sits, it's perilously close. By doing that, if an air bubble did try and sort of get trapped under here, so there's no hot water to open the thermostat, it can at least get through. This gives you a chance of getting some water around the thermostat from the hot head, which is more likely to open it. You don't want to delay in it opening, basically, and I think that's what that's for, but as I say, it may get trapped, so that's just as a kind of plan B, to letting the air bubbles come up through and out and around somewhere else, because you want hot water around the thermostat. Even if you've got a bubble somewhere else, at least you get the thermostat to open then, hopefully. So I've measured this out. I want the thermostat as high as possible on this hose, but where I can still get a jubilee clip round it to grip it into place. So I mean, there's a bit of adjustment there. I don't have to push it down all the way, but that looks about right. It's about right to me, so I'm going to risk pushing it on, bearing in mind it's really hard to get the thermostat out of this hose without damaging the hose or the thermostat. So this clamp's holding the hose onto the head. This clamp is only done up medium tight, and it's going around the thermostat to grip it into the tube so it can't move around. And then if you look at this tube, another ambulance, busy today. You can see what I'm aiming to do here, maybe. This is like a 60-degree bend. So we'll cut that down, fit that in there. That's stainless steel. So it should take it from there round to there. And you can see it's slightly downhill a bit, or I don't know, borderline level. Okay, well, that will fit within the body shell. It's very, very, very near to level. And it just clears just this belt, which I might make a little tighter. So this is the other side. It's actually slightly nearer to the radiator than the other side. They're not symmetrical. So here's my piece of pipe I've cut down. I should say these are sections of stainless steel exhaust. So they come in different diameters. You can get 30 degree, 45 degree, 90 degree bends, or you can get a complete 180 U that you then cut where you want. So this is a, I don't know, is that a 60? I don't know, it's an unusual one. Anyway, you can see what the plan is here, hopefully. So I just cut them with a hacksaw, just a regular hacksaw, and then I just use the angle grinder with a flap disc to bevel over the ends a bit so they don't gall when you push them into the silicone. And I use just a regular file on the inside to get to sort of deburr. Now I don't know if you can see what I've done here. I've used the angle of this and this to kind of bend that away just from this fan belt just a little bit more. You can see it's kind of flattened this side. Okay, and there's the bottom hose. It's just two 90-degree bends with a piece of scrap. There. It's two 90-degree bends with a piece of scrap tubing between them. I just need to buy some more clamps. So the other thing I've got here is this is, I don't know, what is it, 8mm thick neoprene rubber. So rather than just use a bit of a cut-up floor mat under my radiator, you know, remember the radiator sets in that L-shaped sort of channel with some foam under it. I thought I'd use some proper neoprene rubber. It's just tougher, I think, and less likely to kind of wear out. So I need to cut that to size. I hope that's a good idea. It's not that squishy, but then I don't know really. A little bit. I mean, it's there to absorb shocks, isn't it? So, but you don't want the radiator to rattle around too much either. So, let's see how that goes. Anyway, that needs cutting to size and fitting into that channel properly. So you can see what I've done here. I've lined this tray with a single 8mm piece of neoprene, and then there's a sort of buffer at the front which is held on with cable ties at each end. There was just a piece of wood wedged in there before. So need to put the radiator back in and check that all these side bolts and things still match up, that the thicknesses haven't changed, and then I'll be pretty happy with that. Right, I've reached a significant step here. Everything's reassembled here, you see. I've tidied up the wiring a lot, keeping everything away from this gear shift. Proper rubber lined clips. This is the cable to the coil, which is now securely mounted. Got some neat little fixings on there. Everything's de-stressed, tidied, not rubbing on the engine. It really annoys me when I see cars, often American cars, but don't have to be, where there's just spaghetti just draped all over the engine, and then it just amazes me that it works at all. So hoses are done up, the bottom hoses are in. Don't know if you can see there, if I shove the camera under there. bottom hoses are in. The only tricky bit, because these sides come off, the only tricky bit was putting the hose through the hole in this panel, and then you can just reach that clip, which has to be done up to the right to miss this belt. Although, to be honest, I don't think the belt would vibrate enough to hit it. So what I need to do is fill it with water before I put the underpan back on and just see if it starts leaking out. So I've got one of these things here. It comes with a load of radiator caps and adapters. It's like a little bucket, you see. And the idea is you fill it with water and then you plop this in, and then you can lift it intermittently and sort of control the water as it goes in rather than it all gushing in. And if any air wants to come out, it can sort of pop out. So you've got all these radiator caps, but of course none of them fit because they're for more modern cars. And then these various adapters go in, and yeah, it works for a lot of cars, but not this one. So anyway, I've got the funnel thing held with a bit of welding wire because my radiator is at an angle, so that's reasonably secure. I don't think it's going to fall out. Maybe I should use some tape as well. And then you put that in there, you can fill it with water, and then you can just use this to regulate the water going in so it's got time to drain down without just spilling out all over the top. So I think I'll use a bit of tape just to make sure, and then I'll just slowly start filling it. So I'm going to use a mixture of deionized water and coolant, corrosion inhibitor, but I'll start with the water because that's cheapest if it's just going to pour out of the bottom. So for water, got tape, so I'm going to lift the yellow thing and let the water go slow. Really. I'm looking at the floor while I do this. Maybe it's not pouring out, at least something. Okay. Not deionized water. It doesn't have to be distilled, but it has to be deionized. Which is really locked up. What capacity is, I've got no idea to it really. I need to lie under it really with a torch. Just look for any little drips or anything. Yep, I've done. Search for drips now. I don't know if you can see that, but so I'm looking for, like, just feeling the hose here. See if there's anything, any wetness. This one, especially as the brass port is a bit oval. It's not actually that circular. It's more circular where the Jubilee clip is, which is why it's there and not there. Make sure the tap's done up. And then look at the mesh itself, because when I first ran this engine there were some little drips. But the radiator guy hopefully has fixed those. So these look okay. And then see if I can look at where they join the engine. That's the other thing. It's a bit hard to see. There's one in there. Get the light. Yeah, just check those out. That one looks dry. So the other thing it's useful for is measuring volumes. So I'm now switching to this stuff. I had this for an old Chrysler that I got, 1965 Chrysler. Works with older cars. It's well, actually says Chrysler there, 2001 older. It's antifreeze and coolant kind of function. You use 50-50 mix. Normally you can use 70% if it's minus cooler than minus something or other, I can't remember, but it also raises the boiling point slightly above 100 degrees. So I'm probably going to go for roughly 50-50. I've got another tub of this, so that's the other reason they give you this, so you can measure what you're putting in. And it's fluorescent green. think in the US coolant is green. In the UK it tends to usually be blue. But you can't really miss this, can you? It glows in the dark practically. Yeah, the sunny starts dripping over here. It's filtered the bread and I can pop the plunger back in. It's quite a cool gadget. There's lots of gurgling. Right, we're full now to about there. I don't know if you can see. So that's enough, because if there's water coming through here, I want to kind of see it moving a bit. It's more reassuring if it's sort of swirling around at the top there. It kind of suggests that there is actually fluid coming up here and in and going round. So that'll do. So these are 1 gallon each. These are 5 litres, which is about 1.5 gallons, US gallons. So probably used 1, 2, 3. These have still got some in. 3.5 to 4 gallons ish, something like that. It's just worth remembering if I have to do this again. Sprung a leak. Oh God! I'm hoping it's at the top somewhere. Ah, here we are. Here. Right. Well, that's not too bad, is it? That's an easy one to fix. That makes sense actually, as these hoses to this pipe are they're not a tight fit like these are. They just slide in pretty easily. The reason is I need the extra. They're a slightly wider pipe than these because I need it to get on there and also to allow the thermostat to go into the pipe and then be clamped by this second clamp, remember? So I doubled up basically. I have ordered the same size in black, which is more sort of period in keeping with the period, but that was well over a week ago. They still hadn't arrived, and I'm going to do my test no matter what tomorrow, so tough. The other thing I've done today is weld these extra gussets in, so we've got a weld all the way over there. I've then got another triangle welded in here to this removable section, so I'm just making it, super strong. Of course, that means when the underbody goes on, I've got to make a little cutout to take that, but so be it.